Today we're talking about Unit 10, Section 4, the Cold War. Previously we discussed the Truman Doctrine and the policy of containment that was established to stop Soviet expansion in Eastern Europe. Today we're going to talk about the U.S. attempt to contain communism in Asia. In 1949, there was a communist revolution in China, very similar to the Bolshevik revolution in Russia in 1917. The Bolshevik revolution in 1917 was led by a man named Vladimir Lenin. In 1949, the communist revolution was led by a man named Mao Zedong. Mao defeated Chiang Kai-shek, the nationalist leader of China. The United States backed Chiang Kai-shek with money and arms, and even a group of American soldiers went over and attempted to help Chiang Kai-shek defeat Mao Zedong, to no avail. Mao Zedong won the revolution, and Chiang Kai-shek and his followers escaped to the island of Formosa, which is today known as Taiwan. Following the Chinese Communist Revolution in 1949, the United States became involved in a war in Korea. In 1950, North Korea, led by communists, invaded South Korea, as you can see from the map here. The United States fought in the war as part of the United Nations. The United States, by the time it entered the war, the North Koreans had taken the whole entire peninsula except for the southeastern corner of the peninsula. Led by American General Douglas MacArthur, the United States landed in the southeastern part of Korea and in a place called Incheon, right below the 38th parallel, in an amphibious landing. MacArthur cut the North Korean soldiers off, their supply line off, forcing them to retreat back into North Korea. The United States forces chased the North Koreans all the way out of their own half of the peninsula towards a river known as the Yalu River. Harry S. Truman, the President of the United States at that time, warned Douglas MacArthur, the American general, not to chase the North Koreans too close to China. He did not heed the warnings of the president, and the Chinese entered the war, driving the Americans and the South Korean forces all the way back down to the 38th parallel, where the war ended in 1953. So basically, the Korean War ended in a tie, a stalemate. Neither side achieved victory, but the United States claimed victory because it had stopped the spread of communism. This is the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. This is where the war ended, at the 38th parallel in Korea. And some of you who are watching this may be familiar with a TV show that was on for a long time known as MASH. And here are some of the characters that played in that TV show. And that TV show was centered around the Korean War. The United States participated in the Korean War as part of a policing action. We did not declare war on North Korea. We served as part of the United Nations forces. However, 33,000 Americans were killed in Korea, 101,000 were wounded, and we still do not have the whereabouts of 6,000 soldiers who are missing in action from the Korean War. This is just a helmet that was worn during the Korean War by soldiers participating as part of the United Nations. The last part that I need to talk about in Unit 10, Section 4 on containing communism in Asia is during the Korean War that a very important action occurred for the United States. President Truman integrated the armed forces. During World War II, African American soldiers fought in segregated units led by white NCOs and white officers. However, during the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, President Truman integrated the armed forces. Here you can see that women were also allowed into professional positions in the Army for the first time. African American soldiers and white soldiers not only served in the same units but barracked together. There shared latrines and shared kitchens. So all of this, interestingly enough, before 1954 and before the Brown versus Board of Education decision. This concludes Unit 10, Section 4, the U.S. attempt to contain communism in Asia.